All right, what's up, everyone? If you hadn't seen, I bought a beater. We can get into that. You guys can kind of give me a hard time with this, but I bought a Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 8, which is an '05. So I bought an '05 Evo 8. I was looking for, just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, I was looking for something that I don't care that much about. Now, when some people hear that, they hear, "You arrogant prick, what are you talking about?" No, I'm looking for something like I'm not like so attached to that. If you breathed on it, I have a mental breakdown, right? And my frame of reference has changed as I've become older and a little bit richer, or if you, however you want to say it, have had some more success. And so to me, a beater car is something like a 30,000 mile. I was looking for an STI hatch. All right, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I've never owned one. It's kind of on that list of things. I don't really want to. I didn't want. I needed a manual, so that kind of eliminates a lot, like an RS3. It eliminates a lot of other cars. I guess you now have the new manual Supra, but that car makes me feel claustrophobic. I'm looking for something. I've been doing well. For those of you who don't know, I have trouble with panic attacks and driving. And so I've been doing well in my E36. But my E36 is a $150,000 car, because I spent too much money on it. And so if I crash that thing into the side of a curb or something, it's going to be a really bad day. And so I was looking for something practical, find like a $30,000, 30,000 mile STI hatch. I thought could be kind of cool. Maybe that would help me get over the hump. What I'm not going to do is buy like a clapped out Camry. I'm just not going to do it. Right. I want to, if I'm going to, I still want to have fun as I fight my way back to the road. So I called, started, texting Anthony. I messaged DM Chris on Instagram. I was call my buddy Tommy Farrell, Tommy F. Yeah. So I talked to Adam LZ a little bit. So all the guys that have, an understanding of that sort of this mid 2000s platform, early 2000s platform. And so I started looking. I'm like, well, 30,000 mile STI hatches don't really exist. I couldn't find one. So if I was going to find one, it's going to be in someone's garage somewhere, and it's going to take me a while. And so my buddy Tommy Farrell said, "Hey, why don't you think about an Evo?" I'm like, that's a good idea. He's like, you have a better chance of finding a nice Evo just because that community is a little bit different than the STI community. Plus, the platform, the Mitsubishi platform is a little more stable, like the engines are better built, things like that. So I said, that's a car that kind of got away from me back in the day. It was like an 11th hour decision between buying my '02 AP1 S2000 or I guess it would have been the Evo 8, the GS version, the wingless version. So there were those two cars. It was one or the other, and I bought the S2000 and stayed on the Honda route, and then that took me to BMW and Porsche. So there's a little bit of car that I'd like to experience. Question is, am I going to hate it? But I figured if I spend 30 or 40 grand, no big deal. It'll be fun. I buy some, beater car, and then if I hit a curb with it or something, it'll be okay. Well, I'm not particularly good at this, doing the rational, intelligent thing. And so I start Google searching Lancer Evolution. Just Google it. I didn't even go on Auto Trader or anything like that. Just Google Lancer Evo for sale. Guess which one pops up? A $76,000 1,900 mile unicorn. And then my gears start turning. I'm, oh man, well, if I'm going to do this, it would be kind of fun to say I bought a beater and have it be a $76,000. By the way, that number, the guys just threw it out into the world. Like there's no precedent for this. They didn't want to sell it. It was the owner of the dealership. That gets me going. So then I start making some calls. I start texting everybody I know. What should I do? And then I start thinking of the business aspect of it. So anyway, I wired the money today, wired 80 G's, and now I got an $80,000, 76 plus tax, $1,000 Mitsubishi Evolution 8 and '05, 1,947 miles. It has the original tires, the original brakes, the original brake pads, the original brake fluid, the original battery. It probably has the darn original gas in it. It's got all the original fluids, plugs, wires. They haven't touched anything. And so the guy just basically bought it and had it sit there. And so the story goes, it was a guy who was a long-term Mitsubishi fan, has a bunch of VR4s, a bunch of Evos, had a great relationship with the dealership in Illinois, sold the car back to the owner of the dealer. It kind of became the mascot of the dealer. And then the dealer just kind of threw a number out there and some idiot might pay for it. Well, that idiot is me. So I have a 1947 mile, all original, perfect Evo that now I'm going to tear apart and do what I do best, which is to put really cool stuff on it and not give a crap what anybody thinks. Did it with the Civic, did it with my E92 M3. I plan to now do it with this Evo where I'm going to do it right. And that's why I have Anthony and Chris on the call here. I'm going to spend hours and hours and hours figuring this stuff out. They both have had this platform for a long time. And so I figured we'd kind of get together and talk about what to do. It'll save me a lot of time and energy of doing everything wrong. And then, get this car set up the way I want and basically make it so that I can't drive it. And I'll have to go look for another option. But this is what we do. So first question is the car is 1,900 miles. It's 18, 19 years old. It hasn't been driven. We obviously need to address the basic maintenance items to start. New tires, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then what do you think about like belts and timings? What do you guys think about all of the general fluids and timing belt and all that stuff? What should I do there?
I mean, everything with rubber, honestly, anything with rubber, like ball joints and all of that, you might as well just go over it. It's probably solid, to be honest, since the car hasn't been driven. But since you're there and you do everything the way you do it, might as well just go over the whole car. And I would say we could probably check timing belt. I mean, it should be good. Honestly, if it was AC kept and it wasn't outside or anything like that, it might be good.
It's never seen any elements. I don't think it looks like it's never seen rain.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, it's a peace of mind thing. I mean, that's how I look at it. For you, it might be a peace of mind thing. And like Chris said, anything rubber. But really quick, first and foremost, I'm glad that JD and Maddie is back. That's the best thing ever. I think that's what people are most excited about, to see you back in a JDM car, because we were all pretty bummed when you sold the Civic, your dream car. It was the best car you ever did, and it's gone. Or sorry, you didn't sell it; you gave it away.
By the way, that was Anthony's. So that was Anthony's idea. By the way, we should introduce you guys. Anthony from the company, Anthony Fisher from the Rag Company. Chris, what's your channel? Tell us a little bit about your channel.
So Chris Gorbury, and I just basically car enthusiast to the heart, car builder, but I basically focus on the Evo platform, Mitsubishi. I've been trying to get away from Mitsubishi, but it just keeps attracting me for some odd reason. So, but yeah, just car enthusiast, car builder. We're all the same basically in this platform.
Yeah, so the JDM chase is, it never goes away. And, I need to go away and then kind of come back and reinvigorate it. I'm looking for a project, there's only so much you can do and not to a GT3. There's not when you put an exhaust and window tint and you're done, with something like this, the options are infinite, right? There's infinite things you can do to it.
That's what I'm most excited about with this platform, with you specifically. It's just because you tend to go crazy, but tend to go OEM plus, which is right down my alley and Anthony's alley. Mm-hmm. And just the aftermarket support for Evos is insane. You'll see, and everything, you could go from minor bolt-ons to just go crazy, which I know that you don't want to go extremely crazy, but it's just hard to believe that you're gonna modify an Evo with 2,000 miles basically that hasn't seen the road.
Insane.
Essentially.
Well, the magic of that is that I get to go relive the platform basically new, but
basically, it's new. You're starting fresh,
and I get to do it differently than I would have if I was 25 years old when that car was new, right? And so I'm in a different place in life. I know more. I've made more mistakes. I've done crazy suspensions and ruined cars. And, so now I have a better understanding of what's the right way to go. With this platform, it's hard not to chase 800 or 900 horsepower, right? Because it's not that hard to do. But knowing that that's just not something I'm interested in. Want to
Yeah.
make a nice OEM plus build. I don't be driving around with a laptop on my front seat. I'm not doing E85, so you guys aren't talking me into that. It's just not my style. I don't have any E85 locally here. I don't want to be freaking shipping it to my house. I don't want to do that.
Let's how about we start with this, Matt? So what is your end goal? Like, what's your vision? And then how can me and Anthony guide you through that vision? Like, what's your ultimate vision with this Evo 8 MR?
Let's start with the initial round of just maintenance items. So let me tell you what I put in my cart here. So I'm on JD Customs, I'm on MEP Performance, and I'm on STM Tuned. All right.
Okay.
And so my STM Tune cart is I've got a OEM accessory alternator belt. I've got OEM power steering fluid for Evo 8, 9, 10. Okay. I've got automatic transmission fluid, which is for the transfer case, right? To replace that. ATF is, I think, what you put in there, from what I understand.
Yeah. For the T case? It's the other one. It's not
yet. It's not ATF.
Yeah,
it's
LSD 90 something.
Yeah, it's a 90. Yeah, it has 90 in the name. Yeah, but it's not the same as your Diet Queen, which would be your transmission fluid that you would throw on the 6-speed. So it's the you're right. It's the something 90 is your transfer
90 case. Or something, and then for the Diet Queen, it's the expensive one. I don't know why for the 6-speed it's like insanely expensive.
Yeah, I have that.
Hundreds of bucks, dude.
Yeah, it's liquid gold.
Wait, what are you talking about here? So I have So here's what I got. So I got SAE 90 LSD for the transfer case, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I have
that's it.
I have the ATF, or what is that thing in the middle called? The
ACD. Is it the ACD pump?
ACD, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because he has an 05, so it does have an ACD pump, and then you would require the LSD 90 for the diff in the rear as well.
Right. Okay. So I got 2 quarts of each of those. Then I have the manual transmission fluid 75 W80.
No, so for that one, you have to go, since it's a 6-speed, you have to go with the Diet Queen, and it has to be the 5-liter jug, and it's like liquid gold. For some reason, it's super expensive.
Gotcha.
They might not have it on that.
Yeah.
They might not have it on that side. Yeah, but we could get it from another Mitsubishi website. Okay.
And then I did, drain bolts, washers, I might as well replace all those. Just they're new, but radiator drain plug. Now I'm probably going to change the radiator, aren't I? Am I going to want to swap that?
Yes.
You know who knows the most about swapping out radiators? It's actually Chris. Chris, how many times have you drained a radiator in your builds? It's insane. He's a pro now.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I had to, when I was working actually on a 2005 graphite gray Evo 8 MR, same exact year that you got, which is insane and crazy that you got that specific year model. I was swapping turbos out, and I had to swap my turbo, like, I'm not even kidding, 4 or 5 times, and each time I had to remove the radiator to be able to get to the bolts. I don't like removing the turbo with the radiator on, because you tend to bend the fins and all of that, and I don't want to do that. So with radiators, the best option that honestly just blew my mind, because it's a little bit slimmer, and it has a built-in shroud, like super clean already welded with the fan already. Matt, you're gonna love this radiator. It has like the nipple for the reservoir hidden underneath the radiator, so you don't see it. It's the CSF slim
CSF.
radiator, but it's a full one, so it's not slimmer. It's a tiny bit slimmer, gives you the space that you need, and it's compact, clean, polished CSF 100%.
It's good looking. Yeah, that's I would say agreed.
And would we run like regular Mitsubishi radius?
Yes,
Mitsubishi
Clean is the best OEM one. It's blue, so if you have any leaks, it will dry out, and then it will show you where you have the leak. I always recommend OEM for that. 100%.
So CSF on that, and then I have NGK 4055 Iridium plugs, which are like just a better an Iridium version of the OE plug. Am I going to need, when I start to do like exhaust and intake and inject, am I going to need to do like injectors and different plugs and stuff like that?
No, you don't have to do injectors unless you're wanting to switch to 85 or run. I mean, or you need more fuel. I mean, that's the big question.
Yeah,
but
you need to
you could always
speak
upgrade.
about what your power goals are, because
Yeah.
we could do bolt-ons where you need injectors or bolt-ons where you don't need injectors. That's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking 360 horsepower
Then
wheels,
you
basic.
you could be fine on stock injectors at that point if you wanted to.
And then I have a Mitsubishi oil filter, and then on the JD Customs I have the timing belt service kit, which is from what I can tell, it's a new water pump assembly, which clearly I'm not going to need. But like, should I do it?
Water pump, maybe not, but it's again, all your rubber components. So, and the thing is when you do a timing belt and you're doing the balance shaft belt, right? You're basically your best time to do the water pump is probably at that time, right, Chris? I mean, I would imagine.
1000%. I mean, and you want to go OEM with all of this stuff. So make sure that the kit is all entire Mitsubishi OEM for all of this.
Yeah, they have like the gates. I already noticed that.
No gates. Yeah, no gates. Just OEM.
OEM.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like I'm on the right path for all of those parts. So I'm going to do timing belt. I'm going to do the alternator belt. I'll do the serpentine belt. We'll do the I'll wait on the coolant flush when I do the radiator, and I might as well do the exhaust and the radiator at the same time, because I'm going to do the manifold and all that stuff. So then
you're going to be keep in mind when you do the water pump, right? You're draining all that fluid anyways. You know what I'm saying? So it really is going to depend, because you can treat this as like an open heart surgery, but you're also addressing all these other random little things while everything's open. Or you can try to do a couple things at a time, right? That make the most sense. And then eventually, so if you want to get the water pump done and you do the timing belt, you do the balance shaft belt, you do all that stuff, then eventually, if you want to upgrade the radiator, you can. And at that point, it's just an easy flush. Or while you're doing the timing belt and everything else like that, you do the radiator as well at that time, because otherwise you're burping coolant, multiple times, whereas maybe you might only have to do it once. It's really, it's up to you.
What about if I'm doing plugs, should I do new coils? Like, I'm looking at this JDC coil on plug ignition system thingy. I mean, should I just...
Again, it all depends. If you're going to push 360, you don't need the coil on pack, because you don't need them at that amount of power. But JDC's coils on pack, they're actual Denso coils, so they are actually a nice piece to have.
Yeah, they're good.
But for the amount of power, if you were to make 400 plus, which I believe you're easily going to make, honestly, if you're already mentioning that you're going to go with a manifold and all of this stuff, I already know how you are. So I think you're going to maybe go a little bit overboard, and we're going to have to figure that out. But you can't go wrong. It's either or. If you're not going to make plus 400, you don't need them, and you could keep them OEM, but that's up to you.
So really quick, Chris, is actually a good moment right here. We're going to pause right now, Matt, on the cart building right now. So let's just address what you have, right? So you have a 2005 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 8 MR, right? So do you know what the biggest difference between the MR is, the GSR, the RS is?
No, but isn't the biggest difference between the 8 and the 9 variable valve timing? Isn't that pretty much the...
So MyVec going into the 9 is one big thing, right? I mean, considering some people look at it as a positive, some people look at it as a negative. It's one of those, it's a whatever thing, right? But the biggest
the MR's the MR's a 6-speed instead of a 5-speed, right?
Correct. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. So the 6-speed, right, is notoriously known for being the weaker of the two transmissions between the 5 and the 6, right? And so it was known for years that people would blow through the transmissions. They would build up too much heat. They would explain that the chambering that they would do within the transmission wasn't, maybe they're compacting, they're putting too much stuff into a housing, right? And it's building up too much heat, or something could go wrong along those lines. So it got a bad reputation. So people would say, oh, the 6-speed is garbage. It's junk. You never want to modify a 6-speed because it'll blow up on you, whatever it is. Well, once people started learning how to drive, once people started learning how to, properly use this 6-speed, people started being able to get some more life out of them, and still were able to put decent amount of power. So, Chris, I think like the word on the street is that don't go over 380, 400 foot-pounds of torque on the 6-speed, and you're pretty much golden. Is that correct?
Yeah. You could probably go 400, and you'd be golden, Matt, to be honest. On that, and at least with the 6-speed. And again, you're changing fluid, so I don't think you'll have a problem. You might have, if you want to upgrade clutch, you could. But then I don't know if you want to do that. You could go with an XCD twin disc.
Yeah, I'd prefer not.
He wouldn't have fun with that. He would hate that. I don't think he would. I don't think he would like driving at that point. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that the 6-speed transmission, just know, because people are always going to say you need to swap to the 5-speed. You need to swap to the 5-speed. You don't need to swap to the 5-speed. The 6-speed is a great transmission for daily driving. A lot of people still even love the 6-speed at the track. It's just knowing how hard you can beat on that thing and knowing how much power you can run and keeping the torque down. I mean, there's companies out there like TRE, for example, that will do rebuild kits for a 6-speed to basically increase the amount of wheel torque that those 6-speeds can take. That's unnecessary for you. You don't need to do that. But there are some people that prefer to build the 6-speed or to straight swap to the 5-speed. The biggest difference is the 5-speed, it can hold more power, but the gearing doesn't make it as much fun, in my opinion.
Yeah. You'll hate your life on the highway.
Let's stay on that vein of making power, right? And so when you're saying, where I'm getting my 360, 380, I'm watching Chris's dynos, I'm watching all these videos on people doing sort of OEM plus cars. I'm planning on doing manifold, whatever that weird J pipe that goes down underneath the engine, the downpipe.
Downpipe, yeah, downpipe.
So the downpipe, stock turbo is what I'm planning to do. The Tomei exhaust. And now, do I go catless? Do I benefit from this?
I think Anthony can answer that for you. I'm all the way straight pipe. I live in Florida, so I don't have a single issue.
Yeah. So, I mean, Matt's in Florida. He's probably not going to have an issue as well. It just, your biggest trade-off is going to be sound, right? Because it depends on how loud you want your Evo to be. Some of these cars can be crazy, crazy loud. Some of them can have a nice deep tone to them, and they're not going to have any rasp to them or anything like that. And so it really kind of comes down to what kind of noise level are you willing to accept, right? What kind of smell you might be willing to accept, because if you start running straight turbo back, you might start picking up more smells. You might smell more gas, things like that, unburnt fuel. So it kind of just depends there. But some people prefer to just run a catback. Like I'm just running a catback, but we also have emissions here in Idaho, so I have to run a catback. Once that goes away, I could potentially go, straight turbo back, full system, whatever I want to do. But yeah, I mean, a downpipe, that'll be great. The cat's not going to be that. I mean, it's going to restrict things, but it's not going to restrict things to that crazy level that you might be thinking of. But sound is huge, though. I find that, depending on the system you go with, there are certain ones that sound amazing. A lot of people love the Tomei just because it's got this iconic sound and look to it. The Busher SD Catback also has an iconic sound and look to it. There's a few others out there that are great, but I mean, yeah, it's up to you. I mean,
so what about manifold? Like I see Tomei has one. Does no one buy that because it sucks, or no one buys it because it's more money?
There's a lot of good manifolds out there, and there's actually a lot of good companies that are making, smaller companies that are making insanely good manifolds that not only look good, but the fitment's great. And I don't know, because Chris, what manifold are you running right now?
So for the GG, I ran the STM stock placement, which looks beautiful. It's a twin scroll, but like you said, Anthony, I think Archer's Fabrication makes beautiful manifolds. As there's so many companies you could go with, and you can't go wrong. You'll probably go with a twin scroll and maybe get it Cerakoted, so it looks really, or you could leave it bare. But they are almost all the same. It just depends on what aesthetics you want. You need to look at, like, you can see it in my videos. You'll see the STM. The way it wraps, it looks just kind of flush and nice. And there's others that show the tubing a little bit more. So you have to look at some pictures, Matt, to decide which one.
Yeah, I've seen them all. So there's the cast version, right? It looks more like OE.
Yeah, like the Tomei and the Map Performance one. I would go with twin scroll just because it looks really, really nice. If you like the OE, then you could go with the OE, and then we could find like a nice polished heat shield. Like there's some really rare ones like ARC, the Tomei.
So that's what I'm running on mine.
Yeah.
So my stock manifold I'm running it's called an ARC. So Matt, you might remember. Do you remember the ARC parts?
Oh yeah, I know
from back in the day.
Stuff. Yep.
Okay, so the same thing with the ARC stuff for like the Honda World, like the S2000s and the Civic. Same thing with Evo World, except times that by like 3 times in cost. Yep. Like the amount people are asking for ARC parts is absolutely insane. You'd probably like to find like at least 1 or 2 things, just because it's it's such a like an iconic look. I mean, whether it's the airbox, which some people like love the airbox, some people love the strut bars, some people love the coil covers, some people love the cooling plates, but there's some crazy rare stuff out there that I'm talking like, we're not talking like 300, $400. We're talking like $3,000, $4,000 for one titanium piece, which is pretty wild. But I mean, whatever you want to do, right? I mean, it's not gonna like it's gonna be a $200,000 Evo, right, Matt?
So if we do, in talking about our power goals here, so we do the twin scroll manifold, we do the downpipe, catless downpipe, we do, let's say, the Tomei exhaust. Then we do some, from what I've seen, when you do an intake, we have to do a battery relocation. Do we have to move the battery?
Depends. That's your intercooler piping, not so much your intake. So your intercooler piping, there is such thing as stock route intercooler piping and then short route intercooler piping, right? It's a preference between the two, but if you typically go short route intercooler piping, you do have to do a miniature battery with a small battery tray. So you're running about half the size of that battery. Some people go with the Odyssey, little red top mini battery. There's other options out there as well. But some people like the short route because it cleans up the engine bay a little bit. It's up to you. Chris, are you running short route or stock route?
What I ran on the GG was a short route with a mini battery, Odyssey. The other option you have, Matt, as well, is relocating it to the trunk. I don't know how much you really want to do that. Yeah, so I mean, mini. I know.
Mini. Go mini.
Just mentioning little.
No, I want a mini lithium-ion battery. Can I do that?
Yeah. You could do the minis, and they have like this. There's this white one that's super expensive. I know one of my friends, Tony. One of my friends, Tony, is running it, and he hasn't had a single issue with that battery for years. Yeah. So you could probably run that as well. It's just
so. Then what's one. The I see there's Moshimoto, there's ETS. What's the intercooler? What intercooler should I be doing? I'd like to get a black one, I think.
Oh, don't go black. Don't do that, Matt. Don't go black. Don't do that.
No. So the cleanest thing on Evos, I think, particularly Evo 8, I think a lot of people are going to agree with this, is when you have this big intercooler. ETS, that's what I run, but I'm not saying that other companies are bad. ETS makes this perfect fitting intercooler that just fits perfect with the Evo 8 platform. And if you look at my Instagram or my YouTube, you'll see how crazy clean it looks, because it just fits perfect with the bumper and it looks really aggressive, but it fits perfectly, OEM kind of build. So I would say ETS. Anthony, what's your take on intercoolers? Because I know that you have an Evo 9, so it's a little bit of a different bumper.
Yeah, so because I'm running the stock intercooler still, but the ETS intercooler was something that I was always going to want to swap to. I also like the look of the Busher Street Core intercooler. I think that's also good looking as well. There's some other ones out there that are just in-house branded, distributors, retailers that will also sell their own in-house intercoolers that they'll make that are quite nice as well. But my setup's pretty simple. I mean, I'm running ETS titanium short route intercooler piping, upper and lower. Everything's clean there, ETS intake, but I left the intercooler untouched. But a lot of people for the 9 bumper, again, they like going to the ETS because it basically fills out the full range of that bumper, that gap, right? Because some people don't want to see the outsides of the core. They want to see just the core itself as big as it can be because it looks the meanest. So, but don't go black though, because it's going to get chipped up and it's going to look really janky. So you've got to, you just leave it stock. And then if these brands are going to be paying you mad amounts of money, you can rock their stencil on the front if you want to do that as well.
I don't think he's going to want to run that. Guy. Yeah, no. I at least don't run one just because I like the OEM kind of look, like, no branding or anything like that. But I think the polished look is the way to go. So just keep it bare and I think you're going to love it. It's going to look OEM.
And so we do the exhaust, we do the intercooler, I do the battery relocation with the smaller battery, we do the piping, we do an intake of some sort, which probably doesn't do much, but
you could probably do either ETS
that's where you're getting your
ARC.
sound. Dude, that's where you're going to get your sound. That's where you're going to hear everything is going to be coming from that intake, and that's where you're going to get those awesome turbo noises. So it'll definitely do something for sure. So ETS, to your point.
What about blow off? On the intake. I mean,
your blow off valve. So Chris, I'll let you can.
So
whatever
I mean,
you think.
there's it just depends on the sound you want to go to. For performance wise, tile is like the go-to for all of the Evo world. So everybody goes with the tile. I forgot the size, 55, I believe it is, but I can send it to you, Matt. In regards to sound, there's a couple of JDM ones that are insane. Like I know there's a Gretty one that my GG had when I first bought it. That thing sounded like JDM. Like, you accelerate and you would just think you're in a. So, I mean, it all depends. If you're looking for performance and clean look, tile lets you delete kind of like the lines and put it right where the short route intercooler piping goes. And since you're already going to run a mini battery, I think that makes sense. Because you can fit that piping and it will just look clean. You'll eliminate a couple of vacuum lines and then just run that to the intake manifold and just make everything look super clean. We could route it like underneath and everything. So I think on that aspect, you could clean up, like Anthony said, you could clean up in that area of the transmission of the bay. You could kind of clean it up and make it look, more tidy, I guess.
So those are the things performance-wise that we do for the engine, right? So we do those few things. Now, what is that?
You're also going to need a fuel pump, potentially. If you're going to do that stuff and you're going to want to tune it, you will need to upgrade your fuel pump. Okay. So,
and I also wanted... I think, Anthony, we also have to mention this because this is huge and important based on your intake. Speed density, or are you going to keep your,
map?
So if you're going to tune and if you want to clean that area up where the intake goes and you just want to run like an ETS intake with the little, K&N filter, if you find an ARC intake box, I have one in my red one. If you find one of those, and you could go with that. And so that's a decision that we do have to make if you want to go speed density. So Matt, just so you understand, speed density basically eliminates the math on the car, and they put on the intercooler piping, they put a temperature sensor, so the tuner basically tunes off of that, and it just cleans it up, runs better. They could do things with the tuning that they can't do really with maths. So it's really up to you, honestly, on that end as well. But it's pretty simple to do and easy to install. If you're going to go short route, STM, I think, already creates the bong for you. So you get it basically bolted up and you don't have to do anything.
And then as soon as you do that, you've got to tune the car, right? It's not going to run right.
Yeah. You have. So you already have to have a base map ready to rock and roll the second you switch to speed density. Okay. Otherwise, it's not gonna run right. And so, but it's up to you. Like the map, some people like to run the map because basically it's not. I want to call it not like an extra security thing. It's more of like I don't know how to describe it, because I kept the math on mine, not really because I particularly meant to. It's just I was like, well, I got this particular intake. I didn't realize I'm not going speed density at the time, so I said I'll just stick with the math. Run the math. The tuner is able to make that work. There's no issues there. Car runs great, right? But speed density, that's where people say it does make things a little bit easier for trying to basically focus that tune, get a little bit more power, and then obviously, it's just
get a cleaner graph,
cleaner
overall.
Look.
But I mean, at the end of the day, if you want to make it simple, you can stay with the math. It's not that big of a deal. And if you find an ARC intake box, that you can go with that easily. So
those things then make what? Am I at 400 horsepower? Or am I sub?
With a tune, I mean, I don't know, with a really good tune, I mean, that's still not super aggressive. I'm guessing, what do you think, Chris? He'll be at 330, 340 on the end of the day.
If you're not switching injectors, I think injectors is where you will make your power. Like if you're going to stay stock turbo, which when you take everything apart, you'll just check it over again. It's 2,000 miles. That turbo should be basically new. If you are staying, just so you know, Matt, they do make stock placement turbos. So you can upgrade your turbo to look like stock, but it has upgraded dual ball bearings and all of the billet stuff inside, but everything's still OEM. So you'll just put it on. Nobody will ever know unless they actually put their head down and look at the turbo and see, oh no, it's a aftermarket turbo. So that's another option as well.
I'm down with that. I mean, so when I'm doing that, I'm changing injectors. I'm going to change my coils, right? So I'm going to change the coil packs, and then I have the tune done. So it's like 2 extra steps, right? I mean, that's
that's a couple extra steps if you just want to jump to E85. Yeah, I mean, basically that's what you're looking at. And that's when you're going to start making more power, potentially cleaner power as well. But if you don't want to go through that, then you don't go through that, and you don't mess with the injectors unless you really need to. But the tune is going to make the biggest difference. I mean, finding a good tuner is
Yeah.
finding a good tuner that's going to know how to make a tune that's specific for you with your needs, with keeping the knot counts down and everything like that. It's going to be,
Yeah. If you're staying
important.
stock, if you plan on staying stock ECU, correct? You're not going to go on a standalone or anything like that. No.
No,
Yeah,
he
so
should
if you're
say stock
saying,
ECU. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
no, I mean,
Don't put Matt on a standalone.
No, I mean, the thing is that I feel like Matt starts basic. Like he's like, I just want to clean it up, and then he kind of gets crazy and starts doing everything else. But yeah, if you're staying stock ECU, there's a couple of Florida tuners that are really, really good OGs in the in the scene. So you'll be good with that.
Yeah, the key here is that, like, the lessons learned. I've had standalones before, and if it's done right, the problem is most people don't let them do it correctly. And so then you end up with a freaking nightmare, and I don't want that. I just want it to work like 100% of the time. I want to be able to drive the thing for 50,000 miles if I wanted to, and not have to mess with anything. That's the whole
point. If you want it to work 100% of the time, then you have to stay with regular gas 93 premium and don't go E85. Because E85 is
I don't think you would like just the E85 cold starts. I don't think you would like those very much. No, I think you just want to start. Well,
you just wanted to start and just drive out. That's it.
Yeah, I'm a freaking intelligent, rational human. Why would I want to deal with any of that garbage? It's the stupidest thing ever. But who wants to drive around with a laptop on the front seat? I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, that's why I think the route you're going down is probably going to be a smart route, just to make it a little bit more powered. But also, it's also the way the tune's set up too, and the way these mods are performing. It's also going to change the way the car drives a little bit too, right? Sure. It's actually going to make it much more exciting to drive, and you're going to look forward to hitting boost. But I mean, these cars, for the most part, that's how they make power, is just with boost. And so the turbo is something I would look into. Maybe Chris can give you some recommendations, because Chris, am I right that there is the Evo 8 turbo, right? And then there's the Evo 9 turbo, which is obviously larger, but wasn't there like somewhere in the middle, like a turbo in the middle?
So there's the Evo 8 that came. Yeah. So Matt has the 8.5 because yours is a 2005. So after 2005, they basically made the exhaust housing a little bit bigger, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot which one it is, but Matt has an 8.5. 2003 to 2004 came with a smaller turbo, a little bit smaller, and then the Evo 9 turbo is the bigger one. So, and again, there's so many companies, there's Arginari, there's, I already forgot the one that has green, red,
FP,
black,
FP,
FP turbos make stock placements, great turbos as well. So there's a lot of them that are just straight bolt-on. They're stock placement. You could get brand new lines. I think, Matt, you mentioned that you saw some of my videos where I got like all the plated lines for the turbo. So when you look down, it just looks super, super nice. And, every bolt and all of that. You have options here.
Okay.
Yeah. It can look really modified, but it could also look very clean as well. I mean, that's the big takeaway, is that it can look very clean when we pop the hood. And it's like very, OEM plus looking. And as long as you're not going crazy and doing all these tacky things, like, you got guys that do lime green bolts on everything and like tons of weird, just crazy colors. If you keep it relatively simple, things that complement the gray, it'll look pretty good. But I mean, that's what I would do.
So let's talk suspension.
Okay.
So, though this is a $30,000 car, right? What was it, $35,000 new or something like that?
38. You're like 30, 38, getting into 40s.
So there's a lot of room to now I don't want solid mount stuff, but for bushing swaps, for bracing, for different control arms, stuff like that. Where do I draw the line? My tendency is to change them all. Clearly mine are not going to be a problem because the car has 0 miles on it. So it's not like a preventative thing or a fixed thing. It's where am I going to see some, obviously I'm going to want a roll center adjustment when I lower the thing quite a bit. So that would be in the lower control arm, right? And the bushings there. So I'm going to want to make some adjustments there. What coilovers do I do? I don't want to do the coilovers that everybody does. I want the one that everybody wants. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So in regards to the ball joints and the roll center and all of that, Matt, me and you spoke a little bit about that. Y-Line makes a really good kit where it's just replacing it and it fixes so a lot of people, that something they do wrong is they put coilovers, they drop the car, they get an alignment, but then they don't switch the kit for the ball joints and all that, and it just affects the drivability tremendously. With so you do have to get that kit. It comes with the tie rods, ball joint and the lower ball joint. Since you're already there, you might as well switch everything else. You don't have to go solid. I think they make like one that's softer. You have to see the car. I'm curious to see the car and see how it looks underneath to see. I'm pretty sure it's basically new, so you might not have to do everything, to be honest.
You're you're taking off new parts at that point that are already going to feel nice and tight, because you have to understand, Matt, I've never driven what feels like new Evo, right? I got my 9 at like 49,000 miles, right? And so to me, I'm like, the car still feels great all these miles later. But like that car, there's very few people that probably are still around in the Evo community that experienced what it was like buying one of those and driving it off the showroom and knowing how good it felt.
100%. I attest to that. I've never felt what a Evo 8 coming out of the dealership felt like. So maybe me and Anthony are wrong, and we've never driven a new one. So that's probably something. And talking about coilovers, I've personally ran Fortune Auto on both of my cars, both of my Evos. Great company, custom made specifically for your needs. But if I speak, Anthony, I'm not sure if I'm right with saying this company, but I think Öhlins are like the ones that like every Evo enthusiast is like, oh, if I had an extra $2,000 or $3,000, I would have bought that set. I think that's the company you're looking at, but I don't know if everybody's going to agree with me on that one.
Öhlins is definitely going to it's going to look the best. I mean, 100%, it's probably going to perform the best. If you go with their Öhlins Road and Track, I mean, you're going to get the combination, the best of both worlds. You're going to get adjustability there. And then there's the dude that, what are they called? There's that guy that does the modifications to the Öhlins Road and Track. I think Muellerized or something like that. Somebody call them Muellerized Öhlins. Have you heard of those?
I haven't. No,
I haven't. Okay. So there's a guy that does like some type of modification. This is what I saw on a couple different YouTube videos, and I've heard of this multiple times throughout the community. But he does something to these Road and Track coilovers, brand new, does some changes on them, gets them to his spec, and apparently they're like God's coilover.
10 times,
they're like
10 times better.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have that on my E36, and I have Öhlins TTX custom built for my E36 and for my E92. That's 3DM, but he's in the BMW world. So I'd be looking for somebody who does that in the Evo world, where we do custom spring, you do custom valving, compression back, so you do compression rebound custom. Yeah. And it's like I think the set on my E92 is like 9,000 or something like that.
So
I don't know how if you're going to get to that realm, but maybe. I mean,
that's TTX too. That's there's Road and Track and there's TTX.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And it's incredible. Like the suspension on my E36 is the best aftermarket suspension I've ever had in my life. And then I have the same version custom for my E92. It's incredible. But I'm not looking to spend money. It's just whatever it takes. That's what we got to do. But I've also gone I did like a custom Moton 3-way on my Civic. That was pretty cool.
That was too much.
That was insane.
But it was cool. But I think it was too much. That car did not need that. But that's still, it's still pretty awesome. So
this car, I'm thinking, I'll probably maybe I'll start doing some research, see if I can find the Evo Whisperer Öhlins guy, and I'll buy him from him. But that was my initial thought, because the magic of the Öhlins stuff is the streetability of it. It just makes the car better, not worse. And so... and then you want something that's street valved and street sprung. And like I've done JRZ Pro stuff on like my F80. It was horrible. It handled great, but it made the driving experience terrible. And so it sounds like I'm on the right path there, and that we're doing, some basic bushing, basic, roll center adjusting, do the brace, all the fun braces. That's what's cool about these, early 2000s cars, Japanese cars, is all the strut tower braces and all that crap you can put on the car, which looks cool. Isn't there one that goes like behind the front bumper too that you can do?
The Cusco front brace. Yeah. So a lot of people do that. You want that?
I think so. Yeah. Is it behind the bumper?
I don't know.
If you do it, can you powder coat it another color? Because I hate that blue color. Like out of nowhere, it just pops. Yeah, just powder
Don't
coated
do
like
the
a simple
blue.
black or something. It looks OEM and neat. That's the only thing
Like
I would say.
a wrinkle black, something that just
Yeah.
like that just is subtle, but if you see it, like you notice it, and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. But so yeah, so there's bracing. There's tons of things you can do, right? You can obviously throw a rear strut bar on. You can do a bunch of other things as well, because the MR, right? So the difference between the MR and the RS, right? The RS actually had a rear, I think a rear strut bar from factory, right? Or the rear back and bracing on the back of the seat there, on the seat back.
I'm pretty
The
sure.
RS did, but
Yeah,
the
I think
MR
so.
doesn't. And but yeah, you could do that. So the other thing too is that again, that car is literally new, so you're not going to notice certain things. But some Evo owners will notice the rear diff clunk, right? That's a pretty
Mhm.
common thing, right? When you're banging gears, you might feel this rear diff clunk, and it comes from the rear diff bushings, and it also comes from the mustache bar, right? So there's some companies out there that will make some mods to the bushings on the mustache bar and those mounts to make them a little bit stiffer, to where you don't get a clunk on a crazy shift. That's a pretty nice thing to have, but you're only going to experience that once you start getting into more power and if those bushings have begun to already wear. So maybe something to think about. You may not have to. It all depends on how you're driving, how you're shifting.
What
Yeah, once you
about
drive the car, I think you'll notice if you have a clunk or not. Once you drive the car and you actually get your hands on it, you'll
yeah,
tell us.
yeah. What's the I kind of want to see if I can find what are they, G25s, gram lights, and there's a G25 version. So what my offset, I need what, 18 by 9.5 plus 22 roughly. Isn't that what you need square?
Well, hold
So
on, hold on,
yes,
hold on, hold on. Yes,
yes and
yes.
no,
Okay,
yes and
so
no. Yeah,
so
I
hold
think
on.
Anthony's.
So
I know where Anthony's gonna go with this. Let me say something. I
okay,
do 18 by 9.5 plus 22 because it looks freaking perfect.
Yeah.
But I got my fenders done correctly, and I didn't bulge my fenders. I want to say that. So now, Anthony, I'll let you speak. But that is the right
you knew,
way to. Yeah, I
yeah,
already know
you
where
knew where I
Anthony's
was
gonna.
going. You knew where I was going.
So go ahead,
So
Anthony. Go ahead.
okay, so remember when you rolled the fenders on the Civic, right?
Yeah.
And remember, it's not like it's a little stressful, right? But like it can be done, right?
Yeah.
So the Evo on the rears is 100 times more stressful to roll, and 9 out of 10 times it's unsuccessful to properly roll the fender because there's several pinch welds there around that arch that tend to dive in and dip
Yep.
in the second
Yep.
you start rolling it. So what ends up happening is you get these dents that happen on your rear fenders that are now, you might have one that's more dented in on one side than the other side. It doesn't look right, right? If you've been around the community for a long time, you'll notice this the second you see it. You'll be like, oh, that person's fenders are rolled because your body lines are off. However, if you have your fenders rolled properly by somebody that's an absolute pro or shaved, you can actually get it to where you can fit more wheel, fit more tire, and now you're not affecting the look of the body, if that makes sense.
1000%. So there's this guy here in Miami where the guy is, I believe it's so funny. Then the business name is called the Fender God. And this guy's been doing fenders for God knows how many years, forever. And he's figured out a way, I guess, to do it correctly. And I tested it out because I rolled my fenders for the GG Evo, the graphite gray Evo, and I regretted it right away because I noticed that where Anthony's saying it takes a particular eye to notice it, but you'll notice it.
Yeah. If you're an Evo guy, you'll notice it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then with the red one, I finally, did it the right way. And this time I got this guy to shave them, and then he reseals it, and then he paints it back to. It's just insane. The process
I'm
is
jealous.
really, really.
I'm jealous of the
Yeah,
job that Chris got. We
that
don't have
that
that in Idaho.
that
I'm
guy is a
jealous.
monster over here. So if you want to go with that wheel size, 1000%, that's the size to go with. If you hopefully do TEs, I'm a TE the world guy. But Anthony, if you want to cover some of the other Fitments that he could run, that's also a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, right now, what you're on right now, obviously, you're on the MRBBSs, right? Those are 17 pounds a piece. They're a lightweight wheel. They're forged. They're strong. They look good. Honestly, they were immediately out of style the second that people bought those cars back in like 2005, 2006. People ran them for a year or two, then everybody tossed those wheels aside and said, screw the stock wheels. They're hideous. They're ugly. Nobody likes them. And then all these years later, the stock wheels came back to being cool again. And everybody is literally paying out thousands of dollars to be able to find that set of MR wheels. And so especially ones that haven't been powder coated or touched or painted or anything like that. So that stock wheel sizing you have is fine. It's a 17x8. It's a good wheel. It's not a bad wheel, but most people, if they're going to run that wheel, they will either put spacers on that setup and obviously lower them to make them look a little bit more aggressive. So like a 15 mil spacer, 20 mil spacer. Now keep in mind, the second that you jump to a 17, 18 by 9 to 9.5 inch wheel, and you lower that offset down to that 20 to 25 offset, you are absolutely going to need a roll in the rear. There's no way around it. You have to roll the rear with any type of spring compression back there. So I tried running an 18 by 9.5 plus 25 on my rear, and I had to run a little bit more camber. I wasn't clearing it. I was rubbing the rear, but after a while I got so sick of it and me not wanting to roll my fenders that I said, screw it, I'm going back to stock size. So you need to figure out, what are you going to do about your fenders if you're going to run a larger wheel, larger diameter and a larger width? Once you figure that out, that's when the options open up. But to your point, though, 18 by 9.5, 18 by 9, within that 20 something to 25, 28 offset is going to be fine. But your front clearances on your front wheels, that's going to be a big thing, because now once you go into those lower offsets, you're not going to be able to
clear the brakes.
You're not going to clear the brakes, right? So that it's the Evo 8 and 9 is one of the best cars to throw wheels on. It's also one of the hardest cars to get the proper fitment because of the rear rolling and then the front spacing that has to happen with spacers to clear the brakes. So
yeah,
does that make sense, Matt?
I think it's pretty clear. And Matt, you're right. You're like 3 hours away. So like worse, not worse, best case scenario, because you have the possibility, like Anthony said, he hates the fact that for him to get his Evo all the way down here to
I'll
Miami,
just have somebody take it down there and
exactly. And they'll do it. So that's a possibility. And the reason why I love 18 by 9.5 plus 22, besides the fact that it looks amazing, is that I hate running spacers. I like buying wheels that fit perfectly and not having to run a single spacer. Plus 22 clears the Brembos by like this much, and it
literally
just looks, it's just so satisfying to put the wheel on, spin it, and see that it clears the Brembos, but you don't run spacers, so it looks even across. There's people that they'll put plus 20, plus 25 or plus 20, whatever, and then they'll put a spacer in the front and leave no spacer in the back, but then you see that difference right away when they pull up to like a car show or anything like that. Yeah. So that's why I run plus 22. It's just because I'm a no spacer type of guy.
So what about?
And it also depends on the wheel spoke shape, though. It's a massive thing, right? If the wheel spokes have to be shaped a certain way, because, for example, like NK makes a NT03, right? It's a really good looking wheel, right? A lot of people like that wheel, but the only size you can run, right, is going to be a plus 27 on the front, right? 18 by 9.5 plus 27. However, you need I think anywhere between a 12 to 15. Yeah, you need clearance, right, to be able to get to that, right? So now you have to run a spacer on that setup, and now that lowers your your offset's even way lower than what it was before. So like Chris said, if you can get a wheel with the spoke design and the offset just right, where the fitment's going to be good, you'll be happy.
So what about brakes? Like,
they're good. They're Brembos. You got Brembos. They're great.
So,
I want better.
So that's something I mentioned to Matt, Anthony. So there's parts where like if I had unlimited funds, I would do it. There's this kit that comes from Brembo. Instead of 4 pots in the front, it's 6 pots.
Yeah.
And it's OEM. It's the OEM black from Brembos or the OEM red. And then 4 pots in the rear. They do this a lot in Puerto Rico. This is where I learned it from when I go to the Tuner Evo shows in Puerto Rico. And I see this guy with perfect, 18 by 9.5 plus 22. And the Brembos is a 6 pot. And I'm like, are these real Brembos or are they? And he's like, no, these are.
Is it a cover?
Yeah. No. So because, people do like the Akabonos and, the other weird brands. And then they just put a Brembo sticker. But so I spoke to the guy and it's Brembos. They're really expensive. They're like $4,000 or $3,500, but they come with the OEM red or OEM black. And I believe there's this guy or this company that makes the bracket to fit that 6 pot. Nobody does it though, because nobody spends the 4K on, because you already have amazing brakes. Like Anthony was saying, they're Brembos. They're already amazing. This is something that's strictly done for just to say that you did it and you have bigger brakes, basically. But at that end, I do want to cover something. If you are planning on running 17s, then you won't be able to run 17s with those big Brembo brakes. If you're going to run 18s, then, yeah. So if you're going to run 18s, then you're good, and you could go with the big Brembo kit or whatever. I just got to find the guy that does the brackets, but it's really sweet once you see the.
So I can't just buy like a Brembo GT kit and put it on there, a bigger one.
I have to see. I have to see. I think I have a conversation with him to see.
I don't think so, but there's guys there's guys that will throw on like stop text systems, or they'll throw on other things like that, which is funny because like some of the stuff is just a comparable to stock, right? I mean, you just change out some lines, you do some upgrade your pads, and you're still going to get the same performance. I mean, for what it's worth, dude. I mean, just with some upgraded pads, these cars freaking stop. I mean, it'll make you feel sick to your stomach how hard these cars can stop. It just, most people won't drive them that way, and you don't really know what they're capable of. But I mean, that's up to you. And you can do whatever you want for the rotors. You can go with, you can do a 2-piece rotor setup, whatever you want to do. Obviously, that's going to make a big difference there as well in looks. So you could do that.
I'll do a brake. We didn't mention that earlier. Brake fluid flush. I'll probably put like Castrol SRF in there or something.
So what I do is dot for the RBF 600, I think it's called, Anthony. You know which one I'm talking about?
I know which one.
I think it's Motul.
It's Motul. Red label. That's red label on it.
Yeah, that's the one that basically everybody that tracks Evos recommend for Evos in particular. But yeah, that like Anthony said, these cars stop. So that's something that
you need to drive it first, right? And go slam on the brakes, and I think that you'll be surprised.
Okay. Well, that saves me $8,000 or so, because that's normally what I do, is normally do brakes. The other thing I may try to do is I may work with my buddy Stephen Hines and see if I can get carbon ceramics made for it. So we'll see if I can get that done.
No,
you could do that.
If you could get me a 2-piece, save the weight, and that would be. I think that would be the first time.
So now, really quick, now Matt. So just because I don't want to overlook this discussion, we need to tell you where things are currently in the Evo world right now. Okay, because you're coming into this game pretty late, right? There's a lot of OG people out there. There's a lot of people that have been doing this for a long time that have had multiple Evos at this point, right? Because the biggest thing is once you sell your Evo, you're always going to want to buy another Evo again. And half the time they can never buy one that's as clean as the first one you had. And you're always like, oh, remember that car? Chris got pretty lucky in getting that the red 8. But, I know that he still loved his GG8 that he had before. So where things are at currently is that things are getting discontinued every single day. Literally. I mean, you could load up a Mitsubishi website, reload the page one day from the next, and something new is going to be going missing, or it's going to be stop production from Mitsubishi. So many people right now are trying to get a hold of as many Mitsubishi OEM parts as they can, specifically for these cars, before they're gone forever. For example, they discontinued the JDM rear bumper for these cars about 1.5 years ago, right? They sent out a newsletter saying that the rear bumpers have been discontinued. Everybody freaked out, right? It went from being a $650 rear bumper to being a $1,500 rear bumper in 3 hours. So, because the hot commodity. Now everybody complained to Mitsubishi. They decided to start continuing to make the parts, and so now they're still in production. Now, with that said, there's a bunch of other random parts they've stopped production on. For example, the headlights, right? So headlights for the USDM headlights for the Evo 8 and Evo 9 apparently are discontinued, and you can't buy those headlights anymore. So what are people doing? They're trying to source as many JDM headlights as they can, while Japan and the other countries still have them. So what I'm trying to say here is that you're kind of living in this time where things are kind of disappearing. So if I were you, I would try to get as much stuff and source as many things as you want that are going to be your JDM options, your OEM Plus options, and your stuff from Japan that we never got here options, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What about headlights? Don't you do JDM swap?
Yes.
Anthony hates the JDM.
The
bulbs. The bulb problem.
Yeah. The bulb problem, that was one thing. But no, my JDM 9 headlights, that was like the best thing I did. And it took me like 1.5 years to put the stupid things on. But once I got them on, I was like, why did I wait this long to do this? This is
Yeah,
amazing.
So JDM headlights are a must because you have the chrome tails, which those have to go. So you have to do
Yeah,
JDM.
they gotta go.
Yeah, you have to do JDM tail lights. Since it's an Evo 8, I would keep true to the Evo 8 and get the matte JDM headlights and the matte rear black.
Yeah.
Like it's the ones that I have on my red one. Tail lights, you could get those, and yeah, whatever on it. With the discontinued stuff, I have a connect in Japan that could get us parts from Japan and ship it like in less than 7 days. So that always helps, and really good pricing because the Gen right now in Japan is like lower than the US dollar or something like that. So that's
Overnight
also
parts.
really good.
Overnight parts from Japan.
No, you would be. Hey, I'm gonna say something.
Matt's house.
I'm gonna say something. The water pump in the US, the OEM water pump is like $400. I could get it from Japan for like $200, $200 US. It's half the price. So it's like, and the shipping, you would think it's like something super. It's like $30, $20. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, it's cheap.
So,
and they're pretty fast nowadays.
Yeah. It just
so I guess what I'm trying to say, Matt, is have you seen an Evo with a JDM rear bumper? Do you like that, or do you like the USDM rear bumper?
I'm always inclined to not do like new bumpers and stuff because of paint match and things like that, especially on a car like mine where it's perfection.
I know. It's perfection until you see it, right? It's a Mitsubishi, right? So the bumpers may be a little off, but back in the day, they used to sell the JDM rear bumpers color matched from Mitsubishi. So they would ship them to you in a box that were already pre-painted. They don't do that anymore. Now you're just getting a black bumper. So you could find somebody that can do the paint job. You can find somebody that can do the color match and have it as an option. So maybe you do it, have it. You could mock it up, put it next to it, see how you like the look of it, and then you can make up your mind. It's just the USDM rear bumper, not a lot of people like it, but also not a lot of people run it anymore because so many people have swapped over to the JDM rears because it's got the kind of fake diffuser look in the rear.
Yeah. So it has it has a diffuser, and then if you do run the JDM bumper, the Tomei switches. So there's a Tomei made for the US bumper, and then there's a Tomei made for the JDM bumper. So me and Anthony are gonna say that we love the JDM bumper. It's like the Evo world loves the JDM bumper. So because it gives it this mean diffuser look, and it looks really, really clean. It kind of makes it shorter.
I see it here.
So so if you go through any of our pictures, you'll see the JDM bumper. But you do have a really valid point where your car is perfect right now. So paint matching,
that's true.
You have to find a really good paint guy that could paint match the bumper correctly, which is really doable now with technology.
I kind of need to do that bumper. I like that a lot. Looks way better.
It looks really good. And then if you decide to go with that
better.
bumper, if you decide to go with that bumper, there's other things you need to do because you have to remove the stock crash beam on the rear, right? Not a big deal. Everybody does it. Actually, the Japanese car don't even come with a rear crash beam. Yes. So when I did mine, I was obviously a 25-year-old kid that was just excited to get his bumper on. And so I'm not even running a rear crash beam on the back of mine, right? Should I? Probably. But they make tubular small crash beams that you can buy from STM that replace the stock location of that and also give you a license plate bracket because it is a little bit of a situation to swap from the USDM bumper to the JDM. With how you would want to do things, I would buy all new bumper brackets and rivet on brand new bumper brackets and do all that. So that way yours is an untouched version that can go straight onto your car, straight off your car, and then have another option that can do the same thing. Because, for most of the people out there, we were literally like, we would take that USDM rear bumper, drill out those rivets, take those brackets, throw them on the new bumper, toss the old bumper, and then throw that thing on without a crash beam because we're like, it's probably fine. So,
I think, Anthony, you saw my video where I did it. I think I did it. I did something that nobody in the US had ever done, which was install. I got every single bracket from Japan from that connection I have in Japan where brackets that I didn't even know, Anthony didn't even know existed.
I didn't know existed.
I got to fit all of these new brackets onto the JDM bumper and extra support brackets that we didn't know existed. And I did a video on it. So Matt, you could see that video. I covered the whole installation, all the part numbers for the brackets and everything. So that's something that actually
excruciating detail. So you'll enjoy it. But for the Evo people, we nerd out about that. So the Evo rear bumper is massive. The taillights are something you're going to want to do as well, right? So if you want to do the matching headlights with the matte black JDM 8 headlights, right?
Yeah.
You would go with the matte black JDM rear tails just because it's going to look the most universal. I'm running the Evo 7 tails on my car, which have the red look to them, and I'm running the 9 front headlights, right? It doesn't match, but you can never see the full car unless you're looking at the side profile, so it looks pretty good. So that's one option as well. And then the other thing to note too is badging. Some people, depending on what you like, you don't really like badges though. You don't like the fancy stickers, do you? You took it off the GT3. You took that sticker off. Why would you do that?
I don't need to announce so everybody knows what it is. And all this stuff.
I agree with Matt 1000% on this. I'm a guy. If you've ever seen any of my cars, the first thing I do is remove all the badges. I would never run a sticker on any of my cars because it just looks clean. Like, it's just the car. Like, the car wasn't meant to have any of these stickers and all of this stuff. But to Matt's defense, you have a 2,000-mile Evo, which removing the badges hurt me so bad, but it is something that I always do to my builds, at least.
Yeah, I'm taking that off the rear for sure. The front, you can't. You got the one that's embedded, right? So you just you have to get a black one.
Yes and no. So people do like the nose. You're not gonna do this, Matt. I'm letting you. I don't think
I don't even know if you have to explain the nose chop.
But basically, they remove the nose. And they make it look like an Evo 9 bumper, and they put the grill on that, so it just doesn't show anything. You have to look like nose delete Evo 8 on Google, and it will come up. But some people do that, but I don't think you'll ever do that because that's not like OEM. If you're gonna do that, you might as well just get an Evo 9 bumper and put it there and do it the right way.
True. It does look kind of good.
True. The nose chop looks good. You like the way that looks?
I don't know if I'm looking at the right thing. Yeah, I do kind of like that.
Because if you're wanting to do a nose chop, don't do it to your bumper. Buy a new bumper.
Yeah, exactly.
And do it to that because you don't want to chop up your stock bumper. That would be ridiculous.
So why do all these idiots put they chop it and then they put the badge back in there? That's stupid.
Because they put that mesh. They put the Evo 9 mesh, I think it is, and then they put the Evo 9 emblem because the Evo 9 is removable, right, Anthony?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You can take the back off
to a mesh. So that's what they end up doing. They buy the emblem for the Evo 9 and then put it. I agree with you, Matt. Like, if you're gonna do all of that, you might as well just keep it nice and black and it just flows correctly. But again,
I mean, it'll look mean. I mean, a nose chop always looks mean. I've never saw a car where I said that looked bad. It looks pretty good. Yeah.
So they just cut that piece off and then fiberglass bond it back to flush and
yes, again, professional, and I scream professional because there's some. Again, I said that it doesn't look bad. It can look bad because there can be some jabroni that does a horrible job.
Couldn't you just buy an Evo 9 front bumper and bolt that on? That doesn't work.
Yeah, that works too.
Here's one here, MVP Performance, $796, Evo 9 from bumper.
I know, but then it's an identity crisis, though. You don't want to do that. Rep the 8. Rep the 8.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could do that if you want options, and you don't have to get it through MAP. You have so many dealerships around you, Matt, that it will cost you like $400 instead of $700 because they up the price. So everything you're buying through there, you could get it from you could buy it online. I'll actually work,
a Mitsubishi dealer of what you're saying.
Yeah, and you'll buy it from their website and they'll still ship it to your house and it will be a lot cheaper. Like all of the OEM parts, get it from like MitsubishiPartsNow.com or Mitsubishi Parts Tallahassee, Mitsubishi. There's so many dealers around you, Matt, that you honestly will save so much money doing that instead of going through like these bigger companies.
If you do an Evo 9 front bumper, you need different headlights then?
No, same headlights. Same headlights.
You will need an OEM SE lip though, so the front lip switches.
So So basically, on the Evo 8, you have multiple lip options, right? On the Evo 9, you have multiple front lip options, and so for most people, if they're going with the Evo 9 front bumper, they go with a Rally Art style front lip, or they go with the SE, the OEM SE front lip, right? They look the best. They're too good looking. Chances are you're not going to find a Rally Art one nowadays, but there's a small chance. And then on the Evo 8 front bumper, most people run the Rex Speed carbon lip.
Yeah, so it's the DL style front lip. That's the one that looks the most OEM. Then they have the APR and all of this other stuff, but it looks very like bulky. I guess you could say the one I run is a carbon fiber DL front lip. People most likely you'll run a carbon fiber honestly in the front because they look. It's crazy for the Evo 9, Anthony. I don't know if you agree with me with this. For the Evo 9, the SE lip could be color matched to the bumper and it looks beautiful. But as soon as you color match a front lip to an Evo 8, does it not look weird? Like
it looks weird, yeah. Well, but that's the other thing though too. Even my SE lip on my Evo 9 front bumper, right? It was color matched, right? But when you stand back and look at it, the way the light reflects off of it, it never looks like identical. Or do you know what I'm trying to say? Especially on graphite gray, because graphite gray, you might lose your mind over that color matte because depending on where you park in the sun, you'll look at the car and you'll be like, that looks like that's two different colors, and you move and you go, oh, there we go, and you go back and it's like, oh, so
it's a beautiful color.
But
that's my favorite color.
It's gorgeous. Yeah, it's a great color. Are you going to PPF it, Matt?
I haven't decided. I might, just because of how this is going to be one of the most expensive ones that exists. So I might just might have them do it. But I'm not sure. My inclination is no, because it's a $70,000 car when you spend $7,500 to PPF the whole thing. That's kind of insane. But we'll see what the paint. If the paint is as good as I think it is when I get it, then I might just have them do it.
Yeah. You're probably gonna do it.
I mean, I'd probably I'd recommend it. But outside of that though, looks wise, visually, like you're not throwing different side skirts on this car. Keep the stock side skirts. Don't mess with the side skirts.
I don't do that.
You're not messing with anything else. I don't know if it has the OEM. I don't know if you even like these, but the OEM window deflector visors, right, are a popular choice, right? I know you're laughing. A lot of people love them, right? And so you could do that, right? And outside of that, though, you could do the OEM gurney flap that comes on the Evo 9, which is a very small little piece that goes onto the spoiler.
And it actually helps. There's a wind tunnel video. Well, it's not a video; it's a demonstration, but it basically helps when with the airflow of the car on the wing itself.
So it's very small. It's almost like unnoticeable, but that's a small little thing you can do. But really, these cars, I mean, the headlights, massive difference. Wheels, massive difference. Suspension, massive difference. Rear bumper, massive difference. Everything else is just how dialed in that paint can look, and the car can look absolutely insane. I mean, in person, the car can look really good.
Matt, let me ask you a question. Do you have any idea for the interior? Have you thought about the interior or anything like that?
I generally don't like to mess with it. I mean, the stock seats are fine. I think the stock seats are fine. I'll probably do some sort of drop-in stereo solution of some sort, just because of that'll make it enjoyable.
So hold on. On your drop-in stereo, it's not as easy as you think it is.
Well, it's a single mid head unit, and then you change the speakers and the doors. Simple.
Okay, because I didn't know, because basically you have a couple different options when it comes to stereos on these cars, because you can relocate your AC controls down to your lower DIN where your boost, your gauges are, where your boost and your voltage and all that is. You can relocate all of that. Everything can mix and match there.
Yeah, but I don't to do it double DIN. You mean to do like a touch screen? Yeah, I don't like that. I would just do it like I'll actually probably look for like an old Pioneer DEH, high end the DEH 920S, which is like the best head unit ever made. So I'll probably buy like a used version of that, or the Sony GSX RS9, maybe something like that. I'll do. We'll see how much I drive it. If I'm driving this thing as much as I'm planning to drive it, then I'm going to do a pretty cool stereo in it, and I may just send it to my buddies in Boston or something to do something cool.
Something that I don't know if it's gonna bother you or not. It bothers me, and it's something I'm gonna plan on doing. Is the blue? I don't know if you're huge on blue. I'm a huge white, gray, black guy. Like very simple, very like. I'm surprised I have a red Evo, to be honest. But if you do plan on doing anything to the interior, the seats are Recaros, are super nice, and the interior looks nice. I tend to not like the bluish on the Recaros. Like I wish they were all like black or black and gray or some sort like that. I think Anthony has the best seats. You have like the black on black with the red stitching, right? On the
so Matt would actually hate me. So I had a second set of the Evo 9 SE seats, right? At a full interior out of an SE, and I sold it, right? So right now I just have the normal MR black, just the black Alcantara Evo 9 seats and the front and rears. But I had the full SE interior, sold it after I restored them and put them, got them nice again. But yeah, so I guess what he's trying to say, Matt, is that you have some options, right? You could find a used set out of an Evo 9 if you would want to swap the seats over and get rid of that blue. That way, now you have some Alcantara in there. You have some mesh material, and you have some leather. It does look a little bit more high end. However, obviously not cheap to be able to find one used in a good condition. Or you just stick with the stock blue, and if you don't care, you don't care.
Yeah, if you don't care, then it's fine. I mean, honestly, but the other, when you change to black and all of that, then you could do a carbon fiber OEM trim on the dash, Yeah, it looks super, super nice. Then you could it just opens the possibilities because again, the blue is just so out of the equation. Like my whole car is just gray, black, and now red, and it's just super clean. But then when you open the interior, you see blue, and it's like, where does this blue come from? Like it just doesn't flow well, at least on my end. But again, you have to see the car and see how you like it.
That's like I bought the wrong darn car. I should need to buy an Evo 9. If I could have found one with 1,800 miles, I would have bought that.
I think you bought the wrong car.
I think you bought the right car.
If you think about Obsessed Garage, this is the car that you think about, honestly. Like, if there's a guy that would have bought this, I was surprised. Like, you sent it to me, and I was like, there's no way this is true. Because I know 2 of them sold when COVID happened. They were like, it was this huge ordeal with the Evo community. This dealer came up with 2 Evo stock, 0 miles or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, nobody's ever going to see that in the world. Like, that's it. Like, these are the last 2. And then you send me that. And I had to see the post to believe it. Like, I kept looking at it. I was like, there's no way this car is available and it's for sale. Like, again, so this is the one.
There was no negotiating. Like, it was very clear.
Yeah.
I didn't even ask. And so he said, yeah, people would call and they just made up I hate this when you make up a number and it's a fair number and then people just pick a number lower than it just because they have to. It's like, if I don't ask, I won't get it. I hate that whole mentality. But they had kept getting offers for like 68 or 69 or 71. And then they had some guys kind of hemming and hawing on it. And I called them. I said, look, my name's Matt Mormon. Just Google me right now. And so he Googled me. And he's like, oh shoot, I watch your stuff, and I was like, look, I want to buy this car. I'm serious about this. What's the story? And so he told me the story about it was a Mitsubishi collector, and he sold it. He actually sold it back to the dealership, I think, to pay like the first couple of years of his daughter's college education or something like that.
Yeah.
And so, but the owner of the dealership bought it. He was just going to keep it. And they just threw this ridiculous number out there. And to me, I was finding ones with like 30, 40,000 miles that they're asking like 50K, 40, 50K. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to do that, why won't I just pay like $20,000 more? I can make money off of this car by, making videos like this and discussing it. And so
honestly, I think it's a great price. Like for the right person, of course.
Yeah,
like, this is for the right person isn't amazing. The fact that people were negotiating $10,000 or $5,000, like if you're even looking to buy that car, just pay the money. Like it just doesn't make sense to negotiate. But
yeah, and the other thing is a lot of guys, young guys were like trying to get loans. You can't get a loan on a car like this.
No, you can't get a loan on that.
Yeah, you have to have the money to buy it. And so it was the right set of circumstances. And then, I'm going to make it fun by doing this kind of thing, learning all about the car and hopefully, like I said, making fewer mistakes in the build of it just because of my experience of making all the mistakes. And so even though I'm taking this unicorn, all this stuff is bolt on. So I'm not cutting and if I take something off, like let's say I did take the seats out, like my E36 seats, the Vaders are probably worth $10,000. I've got them mummified in an air conditioned storage unit.
Talking about seats, Anthony, do you think, because Matt, you plan on driving this car, and I think the seats are not the most comfortable seats out there. They're meant to be like for a track car. Something that you're going to move around. So there's a lot of Recaro options. I wouldn't go to another brand. Like I will stay true to the Evo platform and
Sure.
stay with Recaros. There's a lot of other, like, since you mentioned, removing the seats and maybe keeping them in storage or whatever the case might be. I think there's a couple of Recaro seats that might fit your bill and like might fit your style of cleanliness. There's the Sportsters that everybody obviously knows, that people run on BMWs. There's the ones that I just got for the GG and never installed them, which I still have them in storage, are the SR7s. So there's a lot of possibilities of you switching the seats just to try them out and see if once you drive the car, if you feel that the seats are too uncomfortable, just know that it is a possibility for you to just switch the seats out. And then if you switch the seats out, then you could maybe, get a black interior in the back, like an Evo 9 interior. So it just matches and flows everything, perfect the way it should be.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much. And I have no idea because
I'm a big OEM interior kind of guy, like try to keep it clean, nice, don't make crazy changes. Like on my E92, I put Sportsters in it. That's about the extent of what I'm in.
I know, but here's what's going to happen. You say all this, and then you're going to go hop in the car, make your first video and say, this interior sucks. This is the worst interior I've ever sat in. And we're going to be sitting here saying, hey, you can make some changes to it. And you're going to go, no, this is just garbage. It's all plasticky. And I'm like, we're going to be sitting here just like, are you kidding me?
Yes.
Well, let's not rule this out. I might get this thing and have it for a week when I hate it,
Nah, don't do that. You can't do that now.
No, you got to commit now. You've taken our time, so now you have to commit. You have to do it.
You guys know this about me. I don't give a crap what you think. I'll do it.
I know. But I think the interior will come along pretty well, and you can do some nice things to it just to make it your own. I do recommend buying a new set of floor mats, right? Because the ones that the USDM models got were gray and kind of ugly. You can still buy black ones off of STM and several other websites. You can get it to where it says Lancer Evolution MR on it. They are OEM, but they're just black instead of gray. Yeah. I like the way those look, so you could pick up a set of that. But outside of that, just go through the catalogs and see, once you get the car, make go down the checklist of everything that maybe looks like it needs to be replaced, or maybe, it has some weird wear in it, like the door pulls from dealer people trying to get in and out of the car for the past freaking 18 years, right? So just think of things like that can be, fixed or replaced while the parts are available. And then you're obviously going to keep them nice. And I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And whenever you're removing parts, just know that it is a 2,000-mile Evo. So obviously, to be careful with everything. And, it's a really nice, it's supposed to be a untouched Evo 8, which is
Did you not see him working on the EM1 when he was yanking off that steering wheel? He's sitting there. Sitting there yanking off this steering wheel. I'm like, Matt, just a couple taps of a hammer, it'll come right out. He's literally rocking back and forth. Oh my God, that killed me, man. That was too funny.
That's part of the appeal, the whole thing, right? In that, other people are like, man, I hate him for doing this, but I wish I could be doing that too. You get to go find it's like finding an unopened box of baseball cards from the 80s, and you see people unboxing them, or you buy an original iPhone or something that you have to unbox. Yeah. That to me is what this experience is like when I bought my 800-mile E92 or my sort of untouched, Civic SI, and chasing these kind of unicorns and getting to relive the experience, because I wasn't fortunate enough to be able to live it back when it was new. So getting to do that.
And it's the process, it's the journey that you're going to enjoy, doing the most. Once it's done, it's whatever. But cars are meant to be driven. Like I will always preach that on my channel is, we build these cars, let's enjoy them. So this car is basically new out of the dealer. Nobody's supposed to touch it, but then here you are, you're in the position where you can have fun with a basically new, like who could say that in 2023, like Anthony and me are like, who can say that you're basically getting a dealer car and you're going to modify, like all of the Evo people that are going to watch this, they all wish they could do that, like you said, but it's, so enjoy it, like honestly enjoy it and do it the way that you want to do it. The way
and then on the side, it was just a platform that I love. I never got to experience it. I've never even driven one. I don't even think I've ever been in one.
No way.
Yeah. I think you're gonna like it. Just know that 300 horsepower car feels great, right? Car feels awesome. 350, car still feels great, still feels awesome. 400, you're having a lot of fun. 500, you're getting to that sketchy fast.
Yeah.
600, you're holding on for dear life because that's where it starts getting really crazy. But you won't get to that point. So
Then you start, the chassis can't handle that. That it's just not. Who wants to slide around all four tires, just sliding around the road, like just so you can say you went fast, and then it freaking blows up. As you make it down the walk.
No, but
Makes no sense.
you would be surprised at how well Evo 8s handle power. Like it's honestly insane the way they handle, the way that I feel like that car is a little go-kart to say, it's a really fun kind of go-kart feeling car. When you're making 400, is a really good road course track worthy car. When you're making 800, you're just gonna, go on the speedway and, go really, really fast. It's fun. And either way, there's a video I made on Evos where I say that Evo 8 is a platform for everybody. If you want to do autocross, you could do autocross. If you want to do road course, you could do road course. If you want to do drag racing, you could do that too. So honestly, I think you're really gonna like the platform, and you're also gonna hate it. I can't wait to see.
But there's not a lot of cars that can do what an Evo 8 and Evo 9 does, man. I mean, and I'm not going to get into the whole debate of like how people feel about the Evo 10 because Chris, you have an Evo 10, right? But there is definitely a wall there between the 8 and 9 owners and the 10 owners, and there's thoughts. I'll just leave it at that. But I think the 10's not a bad car either. It's not.
I'm gonna speak in regards to Matt. I think you would enjoy more an Evo 10 than an Evo 8. And the reason I'm saying that is because an Evo 10 is more of a luxury feeling. And I'm not saying it's just more it's like, isn't it Italian made? Like, isn't it like an Italian, like, it's not JD. It is a JDM car, but it's a JDM car,
but it may have been like a themed, maybe not themed.
Like, I think whoever designed, inspired. It's
inspired.
The interior feels way better. Like, it's just bigger. The suspension, it handles, like, it doesn't feel like a go-kart. Like the Evo 8 is something about it that when you drive it, you just enjoy it. But then if you're looking to cruise and looking to enjoy your drive, then the Evo 10 is the one, I guess, to go.
The 8 and 9 is the purest Evo. I mean, it's the same thing where people look at like the GT3 and they go, okay, that's the race car, right? That's the one. Kind of the same thing with 8 and 9. People look at that as like, that's the race car. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty exciting.
Well, if I like it, then I'll buy them all.
You should. I think you should. Man. Actually, you should get one through 10.
1 through 10.
Get all the Evos.
It's funny you mentioned that. That's my goal. Like, I want to have a warehouse where I have Evo 1 through Evo 10 and build them all on the channel. It would just be a dream come true. And I know it will happen. Like, it will happen, but that will be a dream come true to be able to do 1 through 10 and just see the differences, see how they feel, how they evolved to that. It's really, really nice. Like, it will
Chris,
be a really
you'll love
good
this.
thing.
I literally didn't even realize I had this on me. I looked down because I was wearing my AirPods. Look at that AirPod case. Bam, right there, dude, with a little Evo AirPod case, because that's how I'm kind of a ricer at heart. So, I got to carry that on me so people know, right?
Yeah.
I just love that my nicest car is now Matt's beater car. I'm like so proud of my car, and he goes, "Yeah, no, this is just my daily drive.
My beater.
I hit curbs with it, and I don't care about rock chips or hitting birds or anything like that." I'm like, that's cool.
My argument is that my version of beater is like people's. I'm just wound so tightly, not positively. There are some benefits to being wound this tightly, but there are some real problems, real detriment. And so what I'm chasing, one, I love this process of a project, right? But I'm chasing the, basically I'm looking for the diet pill for my brain. I'm looking for that car that like I connect with that just allows me to go out from my 3-mile radius that I'm stuck in. And I just,
dude, I hope it does. I hope it does. I really
and if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with something, again, it's not that I don't care. I don't care as much. And so this allows me to, like the thing. And if I drove it into a wall, You know,
Well, and at the end of the day, hey, it's a rally car, right? You drive off road on accident.
that's what
you know
I'm
what?
thinking.
You press that ACD button, you put that thing into gravel mode, and you're cruising, man.
Right,
You're
right.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if I break the front lip off, they're like a couple $100. You know,
Yeah.
if I break the front bumper on my $300,000 GT3, it's like $12,000 to replace. You know, and so that gets me wound up even more. And so that is one of the advantages of, you know, why I was looking. That's why I was looking at the STI, because STI front bumper is like, you know, this high off the ground. I'm like, I can go drive down off road and that thing would be great. And so now it's kind of backfiring on me. I'm going to have this thing low, and it's going to be it's going to be really nice. And you know, whatever.
We never mentioned front lip. Are you? I mean, we did kind of cover it a little bit, but are you gonna go carbon fiber? Like, what do you like? What have you seen, Matt, in regards to front lips?
Yeah, on the gray car, I'd probably do front lip or carbon fiber front lip.
Yeah,
because isn't the center section of the rear wing carbon, or is that just black?
Yeah. No, it's just.
Carbon.
Center section. Yeah, center section of the rear wing is carbon. Yes, that is carbon.
No, his whole wing is
his whole spoiler.
Your whole spoiler. Just so you know, for the Evo 8 MR, even though the sides are painted, your wing is going to be carbon fiber. It's going to be carbon fiber on the inside, and then this part that's painted on the side is also carbon fiber. So if you were to sand that down, you go to bare to carbon fiber.
To epoxy carbon. Yeah. So because your inserts on the inside of that wing, where you'll see these kind of rivets, like these big metal little bolts there, that should be carbon on that, right? Exposed carbon, right, Chris?
Yeah. On the Evo 8 MR,
and then exposed on top. So basically, it's a full carbon fiber spoiler. It's freaking cool. So a lot of the 9 guys, again, there's a trade-off. There's cool 8 parts. There's cool 9 parts. So some 9 guys, they'll go get an 8 spoiler. I have a carbon fiber 8 spoiler sitting in my attic because I'm like, rainy day, might paint that and throw that on, right? But you'll have some cool tidbits that will be exposed to where the carbon fiber will make sense and it'll look at home for sure.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do.
When does this stupid thing come in? When does the car come in? When do you get it?
I paid for it today. It's sitting in the back undercover waiting for my guy to go get it. It's a tough time to get transport because it's 4th of July. Yeah. So he'll let me know, but I'm hoping he picks it up, later this week. They go get it and bring it to me. So I have a guy, single truck, single trailer. It goes and gets it. Costs me a couple grand. He'll go get it and bring it right to me. And he has like an F-350 with a single car trailer, and they'll go up there and they'll bring it back to me. And so I'll probably have it like next week or maybe the following at the latest. But I just have
I'm excited.
I'm excited. I'm curious to see how it is underneath, because obviously in pictures everything looks beautiful. So I'm curious to see how it should be, basically like a dealer car.
Well, Mike, who works for me, it's a divine intervention. So by the way, this wasn't like some 6-month plan. Like I just made this up a couple days ago. Like I was sitting there, I'm like, well, my 997 RS is getting, the giveaway ends, and I'm not going to buy a 997 RS, and so my E36 I'm going to go through with the giveaway in September. So I'm like, and I'm really struggling with. I've got these 2 unicorns. I got my Brewster GT3 Touring, and I've got my 1,000-mile E92 M3. And like the plan was to just go to those 2 cars and really use those, but that's not working for me. It's just too much pressure. I got a $200,000 M3 and a $300,000 GT3 that are not replaceable. And so I'm like, well, I'm really enjoying the experience of the E36. So let me go find a beater. Let me go find something that is a real beater. And so it turned into, I guess it was Friday night. I start watching Chris's videos on Evos because I talked to Tommy Farrell. I talked to Tommy F. like early that afternoon. So it went, I'm like sitting at my computer, I'm going to get an STI. So I start searching. I was like, these are all junk. Let me call someone. Call Tommy. I said, do you know anybody with an STI? He says you should look for an Evo. I start watching videos on Evos. I Google search, Lancer Evo, whatever. And takes me to Wikipedia. I look at the years to kind of refresh my years. I'm like, all right, I want an 03 to an 07 or whatever. That's what I'm looking for. I Google search that. First car that pops up at the top of some car gurus or some janky site, $76,000, 1,900 mile. I call them like right there, done deal. Stay up till 2 a.m. watch a million Anthony and Chris videos on Evo, and rest is history. So, but my level of obsession, 24 hours is like the equivalent of a rational human's 3 months. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, when you text me, I was like, Matt doesn't text me for any other reason than there's got to be something important that he's texting me about. And so, and it was like, I was at a concert. I was at a concert like with Dane. It was like 10:30, 11 o'clock my time. And I see this text from you and I go, what? And then I look a little further and I go, am I seeing this correctly? What's going on? And so I explained this to Dane and I'm like, I guess what Matt's looking at. And he goes, there's no way. And I go, there is a way. And I think it's going to happen. And here we are.
That was my exact reaction. So Matt sent me a message. I woke up in the morning and I saw the message and I clicked on the link. And when I saw the car, I was like, there's no way this is true. So like I refreshed the page and I kept looking at the pictures and I'm like, how the hell? Like I thought somebody contacted you and sold it to you. But then when I saw it for sale, I'm like, it's just insane that I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah. So it's, it was sort of, to finish the story. So Mike Figuera, who works for me, it was driving from Florida to Naperville, Illinois to give his daughter a car that he bought. Well, it just so happens that this car that I'm looking at on Friday evening is like 20 miles from where he's going.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So I call him and say, hey, can you go look at this thing? So he, and so he's crawled under the car. It's, the undercarriage is brand new. It's like, this is a brand new car. Yeah. The only potentially said there's a little divot in the gas tank lid. So I'll have to have the PDR done.
PDR. Yeah. Gotcha.
But I don't think there's a single rock chip on it.
That's so crazy. You need to let me know whenever you get this car because I have to see how mint. Like it would just be crazy. Keep
it around. So next year when I fly down to Florida for a work trip, I can swing by. Don't go and get rid of it like you did with the Civic. I didn't get to see that in person. I was bummed.
That car's down near Chris in South Florida. The guy still has it. Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, he loves it.
Maybe I'll knock two birds out with one stone. But I got to get going, guys. I got to go. I got to get off here. But Matt, I'm excited for you, man. I'm pumped.
Yes, 1,000%. I'm super
thanks for your
excited
help,
for this as well.
You just saved me like probably 75 hours of
searching on the forums and all that.
And then even then, most of that is going to be half of that's going to be incorrect, and I'd have to buy it all and then rebuy and rebuy. And so you guys are saving me all that. And so we'll get back together, we'll get you guys in front of the car on the channel, and get your driving impressions when I get it all set up.
Awesome,
sweet man. Yes. I'm pumped, dude.
Let's take a quick picture here so I can post this. There we go. All right. Thank you guys. Thank you, Matt, for having us. All right. See you soon.